Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Hope everybody's well. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And I hope you're all looking forward to a lively chat tonight. So how is everybody? What are you up to tonight? Who's got a bit of hobby on the table tonight? Who's been hobbying over the weekend? Who got to play some games for a change? Let me know what you've all been up to. Tonight's chat, I've gone back to we do these every once in a while and stuff. It's a bit of a deep dive into a game, kind of give you the background about sort of like how the game plays, what's the basic rules, what's the game about, how do you get started, what's the best way to kind of get a foothold in the game. And tonight we're talking about Marvel Crisis Protocol. Yes, I'm fully aware that I did say I wasn't going to talk about this game on this channel for reasons, and we'll come on to them reasons later on. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, I've been doing the prep today, getting the slides all ready and stuff, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you do like what I've kind of done tonight, if you appreciate the effort and the work that's gone into it, please do give the video a like when we get to that part. But let's have a little look and see who we've got in the chat tonight. So Greg Cherry was in nice and early. Hello, Greg. Was there more chat on this screen? I can't remember. There was a couple above, but I think it was by the time I turned the laptop on. So Peter Nicholas was in a bit earlier, seeing it's clobbering time. Hello, Peter. The Super Pumpkin Man says good morning to everybody. Then we had Greg Cherry saying finally covering the best game in skirmish size bites. Yeah, you can't be wrong, mate. Ice Moon, hello to you. He said he's going to have to watch this in the rerun with Ortega. No worries, mate. Hello in the rerun. Hello, Mark Wright as well. Welcome to the chat tonight, mate. Nigel Jones, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Peter Nicholas getting the wrong side of the comic world there, mate. Never mind. Low Maiden, hello Ian, how are you doing? We got Blizzards as well. Hello to you. Good evening, Christian as well. Rob Zunksen as well, saying hello. Palmsy, good evening to you, mate. Major Tom, Ed, how are you doing? Says this should be a good one. Fingers crossed, mate. We've got Yokerman as well, saying no Marvel Crisis Protocol for me, at least not yet. And he's building his Moonstone and his Dead Zone minis tonight. I've always said, and I will continue to always say, I'm not trying to sell anybody new games. I'm trying to cover the world outside of GW and give you the kind of glimpse to all the different things that's out there. Whether you buy them or not is absolutely irrelevant to me. I'm not kind of getting any commission from any of these companies. I just want to talk about the different stuff that excites me. So. Tasty Brain Drain, good evening, matey. Blizzard says milk tastes weird after eating a dill pickle. I'm pretty sure anything tastes weird after eating dill pickles, mate. James Bray, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're enjoying your bit of time off work. Wayne Haywood, good evening to you as well. Jill, happy stream time. And I better not say anything in case you haven't seen the results from last night. Andrew Fairbanks, good afternoon to you. Hello, Tolmart as well. Peter Stockdale's in the chat, good evening. Tolmart's having a chill tonight. Jill's doing a bit of hobby, painting some armoured cars for 10mm dwarves. I tell you what, 10mm dwarves must be tiny. Hello to Tony Howell as well. He's painting a tentacly portal tonight. Nice one. Walter Pruter, good evening. He says, I've just watched your video on MDF painting. Really cool. Bit late for me, so I'll watch afterwards. It's 11 p.m. in South Africa. Well, hello if you watch this back, mate. Thank you for watching my stuff. Tiberius, hello to you as well. Stu McMurtry's in as well. Happy Monday, he says. Jacob, good evening. Mark Berracloth says, happy MCP buy-in stream. I wish I made a pound with every time anybody did buy anything. Andrew Fairbanks, he says, almost home to find out, but this might be the first time I've not been working during a stream. I'll have to crack open a beer. He actually says crack open a beer, but I think he means a beer. Lord Maiden says he's doing well. He says, how am I? I'm not too bad, thanks very much. Austin Thornhill, good evening. He said, excited for the chat tonight. I've never played Marvel Crisis Protocol, but I have wanted to learn more about the game. Well, that's the plan tonight, mate, because you may have seen, or others may have seen, I did a video a while ago saying sort of 5 reasons I was completely wrong about Marvel Crisis Protocol, and I had a lot of misconceptions about the game, sort of ideas of what I thought the game was or what I thought about it without actually having played it. And now I've played it, and I've been playing it for a little while now. Not as much as I'd like, just because that's like life kind of thing. But I have been playing the game, and Yeah, I've also been steadily collecting in the background as well. Quite a few bits and pieces, shall we say? But yeah, that's my plan basically. Give you the background, to teach you the basics of the game, as if you were going to kind of get a bit of a demo at a kind of like a store at a convention. What's the kind of like the elevator pitch type thing, and give you the basics. Ben Davey, hello to you as well. It's his first stream in a while. Been looking forward to hearing about this one. Thank you very much, Mick. Welcome to the chat tonight. Rob saying he's finishing up some wells for Carnivalia. Nice choice, buddy. Deep Red, hailing well met me, old mucker, he says hello. Ed says, I had a great game of Kill Team yesterday. My Grey Knights versus the new Tau Pathfinders. Won 8-7 in the end, but damn, those Tau are frightening. Sounds like a close game, mate. Well done. Jill says, oh, I've seen them. The results, I'm assuming, yeah. Oh my god. Busey saying no beanie hat tonight. Must be warm in there. It's actually colder today, mate, if I'm completely honest. I've not been in here all weekend. Obviously, I've not been working this weekend. So that's hence why the hoodie's on tonight as opposed to the t-shirt. Andrew says, you're not trying to sell us new games. That sounds as trustworthy as a marijuana dealer. First hits free, mate, and all that stuff. Jill says, didn't want to rub it in. You go ahead and rub it in, Jill. You well deserved the win last night. Good morning, VG. Hope you're well. Lone Wind, he says, have you checked out one-page rules? I have checked out one-page rules, mate. Thank you very much. Jill says, if anyone does decide to buy it tonight, use the Goblin Gaming affiliate link and you make a wee quid or two out of it. We'll come on to affiliate links and bits and pieces later on and stuff like that, because whilst I would appreciate if people are shopping at Goblin Gaming anyway, please do shop through my link. However, they're not always the cheapest. So if you're not supporting a local store and you're just shopping online, then I urge you to kind of make your money go as far as possible. If Goblin Gaming is the cheapest, then by all means, kind of just pop in there and use the link that way. Colton Lane, good evening to you. Kath Smith, good evening. Kath says, just built my Crisis Protocol kit. I did see all of your stuff. Talking about it's too cold to prime tonight. I did some priming yesterday. And I primed in the house, and I used my little battery-operated airbrush. What an absolute sort of lifesaver that is for getting, like, sort of keeping the work done. It's been absolutely blown a gale outside the last few days. There's no way I could be sort of priming with an air can, like an aerosol. I'd end up with it all over my face, and it wouldn't go anywhere near the minis. So I got my little battery-operated airbrush out, got all my Marvel stuff primed up that I'd been buying and building recently, and honestly, I would absolutely 100% recommend it every time. Camo, morning to you, mate. How are you doing? We've got a nice little crowd in tonight. This is nice to see you all. I hope you're all having a good night. I've got I've just finished my cup of coffee there. I've got a little cheeky tipple here just to warm my insides, shall we say. So keeps me going. I've also got a bottle of water as well, to be fair. So Jill saying, yeah, I switched to brush on primer after September. I've never ever used brush on primer. I just kind of get away with using the stuff. I'd either airbrush or I would spray can it, or I would just wait, to be fair. Lord Main says, you didn't consider giving yourself a painting makeover. Sir, I shake my head at you. A painting makeover. Give yourself a painting makeover. A painting makeover. No idea what that means. James says he's building and cleaning his Carnivale rush hour tonight. I might have some Carnivale stuff, mate, to be shown on screen. Well, not tonight because they're in the house, but I've just given it away now. I do have some now. Greg says first Marvel OP event this weekend. Nice one, mate. There's a few organised play events. There's a couple happening in the northeast this weekend as well. So if anybody is in and around in the northeast, there's a couple of good events that you could attend. Lord Maiden says spray your face and then paint it. There's nothing wrong with my face, mate. Are you trying to say that it doesn't already look the best it can look? James says, I want to know what you went for. We'll chat later, mate. We'll chat later. But yeah, so I think what we'll do is we might as well, because these things take a little bit longer than the average one. I think we'll dive in tonight, and we'll get if he remembers which buttons to press. That's the one. I know which ones to press. Mark says, I'm coming to salute on Saturday. I am not, mate. I'm busy. I'm away with the family on Saturday, over in the northwest visiting some family friends, and it's been planned for quite some time. So yeah, no salute for me this weekend. Although I must admit, I did look into it to try and see if I could manage to get down to London and then back across to the northwest, and not screw up the entire weekend. But no, I couldn't. So yeah, I'm not coming this weekend. So, what I'll do, I'll be recording this as well. So I'll probably clip this one out and put it out as a standalone video. These kind of sort of deep dives into these games tend to do sort of better in the video afterwards rather than the full stream. So I will be doing that. But tonight, while I'm chatting, obviously I can't always see the chat as easily when we're doing these kind of stuff. If you do want to ask any specific questions as we go, I will be coming back and referencing the questions in the chat and stuff. Just make sure you put at BlackJack Legacy, and that'll highlight it up, and it means I can reference it back, because otherwise there's going to be quite a big kind of wall of text to go back through and try and reference. And if I go back to right back to the start, it's sometimes quite difficult to catch up on it. But yes, so what we'll do is, on my screen here, if I get all the right stuff up in front of me, and then we're kind of ready to go. So tonight, folks, we're going to be going through the background, if you like, to Marvel Crisis Protocol, kind of the basics of the rules, how the game plays, what you can expect if you don't know anything about the game, so learn a bit more about it, how it plays, and then I'll also talk a little bit about the best way to kind of get started, and then maybe expand from there as well. So first off, just to kind of give you the background, Marvel Crisis Protocol is a game by a company called Atomic Mass Games. This was their first game, and it's a tactical miniatures game for 2 players in which hand-picked squads of Marvel characters clash over a customized battlefield and attempt to be the first to complete their mission objectives. Now, the game launched back in November 2019, so if you think about it, it's just about to become 2 years old now. And when you think most of its life been through a global pandemic and lockdowns when people weren't playing games, it's quite impressive to see how it's kind of grown and how it's come out of that kind of lockdown period quite strongly, really. And I think the big appeal, like unsurprisingly, really, is the miniatures themselves. People love Marvel, and kind of I think during lockdown people enjoyed kind of just painting something a little bit different. And there was a good community around a really, really good tabletop simulator version of this game that I think got people playing kind of sort of casually and competitively through those lockdown periods. But it seems to have come out the other end really strong. There's a lot of kind of noise about it at the moment, and I'm hearing about more and more people picking the game up, and I'm hearing more and more events happening, and it seems to be the kind of the game at the moment. So tonight, like I say, I'm going to take you through the basics of how to play the game, and really what makes it one of probably the best miniatures games that I've actually ever played. So there's also, as I briefly mentioned before we started streaming there's affiliate links in the description. If you want to take a look at anything for Goblin Gaming and you want to pick anything up, please do check them, but by all means do not feel obliged, and please support your local stores where you play your games, and make sure that your money goes as far as it can if you don't have a local store. So before we get to the minis themselves, because I know those are the kind of bits that you'll be excited about, let's talk about the missions, like the kind of like the sort of, it's really the backbone of this game is the mission system, and about sort of why are you playing, for example, and we use the missions to actually inform us on how to choose our squads to play as well. So players create a mission by combining 2 different types of what are called crisis cards. You can see one of them on the screen here. And each mission always consists of one of each type of crisis. There is one called a secure mission, and there is one called an extraction mission. And the secure sees characters kind of like sort of trying to hold onto an objective on the battlefield, and you kind of control it each turn. You try to control that objective, whereas an extraction will see characters trying to pick up sort of objectives from the battlefield and trying to kind of hold onto them, escort them if you like, and extract them until the end of the game. So missions are basically how players score victory points, and they're the most important thing in the game. You can fight your enemy as much as you want, but essentially what you're doing by fighting against the enemy is you're trying to stop them scoring victory points. You're trying to stop them scoring the objectives. So it does make it very thematic and very interesting. It's not just a case of like a fight to the death type thing. You really do have to kind of play to the mission. And the objective of the game is to be the first person to score 16 victory points. So you can see here on the screen, this is a crisis card, and a crisis card is made up of the following parts, and I've numbered them up there as well. So it's just off to the right there at the top. It's number 1 that tells you the name of the crisis card. In this case, it is Riot Spark Over Extremis 3.0. That's just so you can kind of reference it and you know which one you're using. Number 2 at the top there is the crisis type. Now you can see this one here is this. Sorry, I should say the crisis type. It's the kind of the blue circle that goes around the outside. So you can see this one here is a secure one. They normally have, I think if you can see like that one, I don't know whether that's close enough. They have like a red ring around them, and those ones are the extraction type. Now, number 3 is the number in the center there where it says 17. Now, this is the maximum threat. This indicates basically how many points each player will build their squad to. So this is what I meant by these are really important, and this determines how you build your squad. So this is the equivalent of like saying like this is going to be a 17-point game. So you don't actually know how many points you're going to play until you settle on which mission you're going to play. We'll come on to that when we start talking about kind of building our squads and things like that. But currently in the game, there's lots of these extra crisis cards. They come in packs as well as you're buying them, so it kind of expands the game as you buy more stuff. And currently, I think I'm right in saying the highest kind of crisis, the highest threat level at the minute is 20 points, and the lowest is 14 points. 17 tends to be the most popular, and there's a reason 17 is popular. Is it's kind of a midpoint anyway. But also, if you buy the core set, it comes with 2 17-point squads that you can use out of the box. So 17 tends to be quite common. Number 4 there is the one on the left hand side there. That is the setup. This basically indicates the type of objective tokens that you're going to be placing on the battlefield, and it also references a map as well. I think this one references map D. And in the core set, you basically get these cards, which have these kind of layouts that tells you, I'm sure you won't be able to see that very well, but it does tell you where the tokens go for those particular missions. Number 5 across on the right hand side there is the scoring. This explains to you how you will score in this game. So for example, this one says players score 1 victory point for each extremis console they secure during the cleanup phase. We'll come on to what phases and things are later on. So it tells you how you score the victory points. And then at the bottom there, number 6 is the rules. This explains how characters can interact with any of the crisis objective tokens. So this one is basically saying you can remove 1 damage from a non-dazed character within range 2 of the extremis console. So this basically kind of lets you kind of heal up your characters when you're doing this mission as well. And then bottom right hand corner, number 7 there is basically which set the card is from. So that you can see this one is from the core set. And as you buy kind of expansions and characters over time, they'll have different sort of symbols in there, purely just to reference which pack they come from, but it makes no difference to the game itself. So those are basically your crisis cards. And at the start of the game, you will randomly select sort of 2 crisis cards, one from your opponent, one from you, and then one of you will select which one you will use for the threat level. But we'll come on to that kind of stuff in a bit. So we've got a threat level. What we do, these are basically our characters and our character cards. And each character stat card lists all of the information that you need to know about the characters in order to use it during play. So you shouldn't have to reference the rulebook. All of the things your character can do are on one side of your card. Now here, what I am showing is these are the new style of cards. If you buy the kind of the core set and stuff, or any characters at the minute, you will get cards that look like this, basically, which are in like a portrait mode, if you like. The information on them is the same. All Atomic Mass games are doing is they're updating them for kind of future releases, and they're basically turning them sideways. They say they can get kind of more text on them that way, and it makes them a bit easier to read. But I'll kind of, everything I'm talking about now is basically kind of any updated stuff, but the gameplay is exactly the same, really. So the character cards have 2 sides. They have a healthy side, which is the side that you always start with, and an injured side. And basically you can tell which side is which, as you can see here in the top, in the kind of the top left hand corner of the card at the back. You can see those 4 circles there are a bit of like a tealy blue color. That's the healthy side, or the blue down the left hand side banner as well. And the injured side, those 4 circles in that white box are like an orange color, and there's always a bit of a red kind of side to the card as well. And these older ones are these kind of the original ones are the same as well. You can see it's kind of blue down this corner here, and then on the flip side it's red on there as well. So during play, basically, as a character suffers an amount of wounds, it will get to a point where they run out of wounds. Basically, they run out of health points, and this will basically daze the character. And what happens when a character is dazed is basically they take no further part in that particular round of the game, and they can't score objectives or anything like that. But what they do is they then flip their card over in the next round to their injured side, which sounds like it should be a bad thing, but actually characters who are on their injured side can sometimes be a bit stronger. They basically kind of sort of like these are superheroes when they're beaten, basically when they're getting beaten up, they almost want to come back and fight even harder. So a lot of characters get even stronger on their injured side. So sort of taking a bit of damage is not always the worst thing in the world. So let's break down the rest of the parts of the stat card and give you a bit of a brief explanation about what they each represent. So you can see this was in the top left hand corner. Basically what you've got is 1, 2 and 3 are those 3 coloured circles, the red, yellow and blue circles along the top there. The one on the left is the red one with the fist inside is the physical defense, and this basically represents the character's ability to withstand physical attacks like punches and gunfire. And this number in here, 4, is the number of dice that the character will roll when he's defending against a physical attack from his opponent. The yellow one, number 2 there, is basically that is an energy defense. So this represents the character's ability to kind of sort of withstand energy attacks like kind of repulsor beams, lightning bolts, kind of from sort of energy type characters. And again, this is the number of dice that you will roll if you are defending against an energy attack. And the one on the right hand side there, the blue one with the eye symbol in it, is mystic defense, and this represents the character's ability to withstand mystic attacks like sort of mental illusions and mind control. And again, this is the number of dice that you will roll, in this case 3, against a mystic attack. So then we have the 4 kind of teal circles, the one at the top left hand side there, the one with kind of like the heartbeat and the number 5 next to it. That is your stamina. That's the amount of damage that you can take before your character is either dazed, or once they lose all of their health on their injured side, they're basically knocked out and taken out of the game. Number 5, the one at the bottom there on the left hand side where it says number 2, is the size of the character. Characters are different sizes. You use the size for things like line of sight, and you always also use size for things like can certain models throw other models, because you can, in this game, unsurprisingly, sort of Hulk can pick up models and throw them around. Certain characters can kind of like mentally move characters around, and sometimes that's limited by the size of the character. So that's why that is used. Across to the right hand side, we've got the kind of like the weird kind of spider looking thing with the number 4 beside it. That is the threat level. This is the points that the character costs. So as you can see here, Captain America Steve Rogers costs 4 points, or 4 threat level, and that adds towards your total, which we then see on those crisis cards. In the game, the lowest is like 2-point characters, and the highest is like an 8-point character. So you can see there's a bit of a swing in there as well. Currently, there's new characters coming all the time, which will potentially change those limits. And the one at the bottom right hand corner there with the M beside it, number 7, is the speed of your model. So we'll talk a little bit in a second about how models move around, but basically they move around the battlefield, and there's 3 possible options of S, M and L, which is short, medium and long moves, and you use a measurement tool as opposed to a tape measure to be able to move you around, but we'll come on to that in a second. So this is the main kind of character card, and each character, when they come to activate, can make 2 activations, or 2 actions if you like, and common actions available to every character are being able to kind of move, like either sort of like walk or run or climb or something like that. They can attack, which is the kind of the bulk of the character card there with the number 3 on the right hand side, or they can use one of their superpowers, which is the things towards the bottom of the card there. Because some superpowers are classed as an action. Others are just classed as a superpower, and we'll come on to that bit in a second. So on the card, you can see in the top left-hand corner, we've got the character's name, in this case, Captain America. Underneath that, we have the character's alter ego. So, for example, it's their everyday persona of who the character is, and it's used to identify the character to make sure that you don't duplicate models. So, for example, there are 2 Captain Americas in the game. There is the Sam Wilson, the Falcon Captain America, and then there is the Steve Rogers Captain America. Now, you can take both Captain Americas in your squad. However, you couldn't take 2 Steve Rogers Captain Americas in your squad. So this is used to basically to give you unique characters. You can't take 2 the same, for example. So yeah, that main section there, 3, basically is the number is the attacks that you do. So you can see there's that red fist in the side, which shows that Captain America has physical attacks. You can see the numbers at the top right. So the first number, which looks like a crosshairs, is the range that attack will do. And we measure range using range templates. I'll come on to that in a second. The next one is the strength. So you can see that top one there has like a bit of like a dumbbell in it, and it has 5. That's the strength of the attack. That's how many dice you will roll. And then the last number there, which looks like kind of like an explosion type thing, that is the amount of power that it costs to do that action. So the top one you can see there, strike, doesn't cost any power. It is free to use. Whereas the shield slammer, the third one down there, costs 2 power. We'll come on to what power is in a second. Underneath that one, where it says number 4, it says that like they're basically a day unlike any other, and it says affiliation, Avengers. Now, some characters are leader models, of which Captain America is leader of the Avengers, and they have like leader abilities. And if you have a squad of characters that are all affiliated, in this case as an Avengers affiliation, then you get to use these leader abilities. You don't have to do that, and we'll come on to that when we talk about squad building in a bit, but just something to remember. And then at the bottom of the card there, these are the superpowers. Now, unless the superpower actually says it's an action, you can use as many superpowers as you have power to pay for. So in theory, you could use your first action to move, you could use your second action to, say, strike, and then you can just keep doing superpowers as many power that you have to be able to spend. This allows you to kind of combine different bits and pieces as well. Some powers basically are active powers that you can use in your sort of turn while you're activating. Some are reactive powers where you can use them when you're defending. For example, Captain's Vibranium Shield here, he can use that one when he's defending against an attack. And some are what's called innate powers, which just mean they happen all the time. They're always in play, for example. So that's kind of a bit of a brief rundown about how a card works. So yeah, we talked about movement. So movement in the game, if you're familiar with Star Wars Legion, for example, you'll have seen these kind of sort of hinged sort of movement templates. And you can see here in my hands, although I've sprayed them black and they're not the easiest to see, there is 3. So there's a short, a medium, and a long. And your character card will tell you which one to use. You can use a smaller movement template, but you can't use a larger one. And essentially what you do is basically you can sort of move that to where you want, and then you can put that up against your base and move along the movement template. So movement is very easy. The other one are range. So we talked about the range of Captain America's sort of attack. His strike was a range 2. So you would use a range 2 template to be able to kind of check the range. And the templates go 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see there's a number of different ranges there, and a range 1, which is a thing as well, is basically the width of any of those templates. So across there is basically range 1. This keeps the game really simple when it comes to measuring attacks and measuring movement. I think it's a really kind of slick way for the game. Next up, we talked about power in the game, and power is basically the thing that allows you to do more powerful attacks and activate your superpowers. So how do you basically get power to be able to do that stuff? there's a few ways you can gain power in the game. So one is in the power phase. The power phase is the first step of every round, and everybody automatically gains power. You normally gain 1. Some characters gain a little bit more because they have abilities. Then you can gain power from certain attacks as well. So on that character card where you've got a list of attacks, there's what we would call 2 different types of kind of attacks. We have what are called builders, and we have what are called spenders. And builders are attacks which basically tend to cost 0 power or very low amounts of power, and they give you power for doing it. So it might say, for example, gain 1 power for every point of damage you inflict on the enemy, kind of thing. So that is one way of building power into your power pool. The other type of attacks are called spenders, and these are the ones that basically do not generate power, but they cost a lot of power to do, and these tend to be the more powerful attacks. They give you extra dice, or they have bonus abilities if you manage to kind of pull them off and stuff. So there's those 2 different types of attacks. Now the third way, the interesting way to build power, is you get a point of power every time you take a point of damage. So when we were saying before about it's not always a bad thing to take some damage in the game, it's not always a bad thing to be kind of to be dazed because you go over to maybe a stronger side on your card. You're also generating power by taking damage. So as your character's basically being beaten up and getting more and more frustrated and more angry, they are generating power, which means they can come back stronger. So it brings in a unique aspect to the game of that as you're hitting on your opponent, unless you're actually going to take them out and stop them activating, you might think twice about actually sort of creating damage, because you're actually giving them power to come back at you. And every character gets a maximum. You can hold a maximum of 10 power tokens. So yeah, be sure to kind of hit them wisely, shall we say. Now, dice in the game, this is a game that uses dice, but as with a lot of kind of Asmodee-based games, they have unique dice, and these are D8s. And these D8 dice, again, they come in the core set, and they're 8-sided, and they have, is it like 6 different symbols on the sides of them. And they are used for both attacks and for defending as well. So the different symbols, you can see the one at the top there is a critical hit symbol. There is one of these on the dice, and the critical hit counts as a success in both attacks and defense rolls, and it also allows you to add an additional die. So a bit like an exploding 8 type thing. If you roll a crit, you get to roll a second dice. If you roll a crit on that second dice, you don't get to kind of like sort of keep going on and on. You only ever get it on the first one. Next one there is the kind of the explosion symbol there. That is a hit, and there are 2 sides of the D8 that have the hit symbol, and this basically counts as a success when you're attacking. Then there is one wild symbol, that kind of swirl on the dice. Again, this counts as a success as well, but it sometimes triggers special rules. So on the character card, it'll tell you about the attack, and then some of those attacks, especially the more powerful ones, will have a wild symbol, and if you trigger that by rolling a wild symbol when you're attacking, something extra sometimes happens. The next one down with the shield with a little kind of explosion on it is a block symbol. There is one of these on the dice, and this is basically a success only when you're defending. The next one down, the skull, is a failure. This is always there is one of those as well, and it always means you failed. You cannot re-roll it, so if you have any special abilities that allow you to re-roll fails, you cannot re-roll a failure symbol. Unless you have abilities which specifically say that. And then there are 2 blank sides as well. Blanks basically are just failed. You do not succeed in an attack or a defense. However, if your character has abilities to allow you to re-roll misses, you can re-roll blank sides. So that's the dice basically. Now, what you also have is you have something called tactics cards, and these are basically special kind of sort of special team powers, basically, or cinematic events that you can use during the game. If you're just starting to play for the first time, I'd potentially kind of give them a miss. You get a good chunk of them in the core set, and these are the cards that you will also get with expansions. As you buy more characters, you'll get more cards in there as well. But basically, they cost power to use, and you choose them as part of your roster at the start of a game. In the current rules at the minute, you choose 8 of these cards to include in your roster, and then when you know what threat level you're playing your game at, but with the mission, you then whittle 8 cards down to 5 that you will take into your squad. That's about to change in the new update of the rules. You're allowed to take 10 of these cards, and you still choose 5 for your main mission. They are basically one-use cards, so you can use them at any point in the game. And once they're used, they're used up. Some you can use on your turn, some you can use on your opponent's turn, some you can use at any point. Now on these cards, you can see at the top there's the name. This one is Cosmic Invigoration. Number 2 there basically is where it says Cabal, and this is the squad affiliation, and this indicates which kind of affiliations, like Avengers for example, can take that particular card. So cards will either say unaffiliated, or they will have an affiliation name. So for example, if you take Captain America as your leader and you take the Avengers, you then couldn't take this tactics card as part of your squad. The type underneath there basically is where it says active there. It denotes when the card can be played. As I said before, some can be played in your turn, some can be played in your opponent's turn. So it's either active or reactive. And then below that, where it says number 4, is basically the rules of the card. What is the card actually doing? So that tells you how to play the card. Now, a little bit of a breakdown about the kind of like the rounds and how the rounds work. So the first phase is the power phase, and the power phase happens at the start of every round. This is basically where all characters gain 1 power, unless your character has an ability that lets you gain more, and then you resolve any kind of effects or crisis cards that occur in the power phase. Next up is the activation phase, and during the activation phase, players basically take turns to activate 1 model. You do your 2 actions and your superpowers, and then once you've finished activating that model, you put a token next to it to say the model's activated, and you then pass over to your opponent, and they activate one of their models, and you go backwards and forwards until everyone's used them up. Now, basically, you can't activate a character that has already activated, and you can't activate a character that is dazed. So basically, that's one of the reasons why you might want to attack certain models to try and get their kind of energy, to get their energy down, get their health down, to make them dazed, because that means that in this round, they then can't activate. So that's one reason to do it. And then basically, once everyone's done their activations, it's the end of that round and it goes to the cleanup phase. And in the cleanup phase, basically, players score their victory points. So this is where you look at the different missions and see how to score points, and you add up your victory points, and you check any sort of effects on crisis cards or anything like that, or any effects on the players that happen in the cleanup phase. You move the round tracker along to the next one, and then you go back to the power phase and start the next phase. And you get one of these in the core set, which has got 2 sides to it, a yellow side and a blue side, for no other reason that it looks nice. And along the bottom there, you can see it says 1 to 6. That's the different rounds. So you play 6 rounds, and you can see at the top there it has 1 to 16, and that's where you track your victory points. And the idea of the game is to be the first person to get 16. And if both players get 16 points at the same time, you play an extra round until there's a clear winner. And if both players get more than 16 at the end of the round, whoever has the most points is declared the winner. So at the start of a game, when you're building a roster, before you even know what your mission is, before you're deciding which characters to take, we have to build a roster. And what you do is, you take 6 crisis cards, 3 of the secures and 3 of the extraction. That's these red and blue ones here. Although they're both blue, they're red and blue. They're red and blue on the backs of the cards as well, so you can tell the difference. So you take 3 each of them. Now, as you kind of buy more expansions, you'll get more of these cards, and you get more choice of the kind of missions that you like to play. Certain factions will basically maybe benefit a little bit more from certain crisis cards. So there's a tactics to that kind of side of the thing as well. However, again, the rules are changing very slightly now, where in the past you used to kind of pick and ban these. Now what you do is these are basically, you have your 6 cards, and then they're pretty much just picked at random now to stop that sort of first player sort of always getting to choose the one they want and then basically kind of playing into it. So that's changing slightly. Next, you take 10 team tactics cards. These are the ones that we were talking about before, the ones that give you kind of like special powers. You take 8 in the current rules. It's changed to 10 very soon. And then you take 10 characters. Now, there's no maximum threat level for the 10 characters that you choose. However, once you've chosen the mission that you're going to do and you know what the threat level is, you then whittle that 10 character roster down to the amount of characters that make up the kind of... So, for example, if it was a 17-point mission, you've got 17 points to choose from your 10 character roster. And this makes it really interesting. It means that you don't know for certain which kind of build you're going to take. It means that you have to be able to kind of adapt on the fly because you don't know what the points are going to be in that game. However, yet again, if you're just new to the game, don't worry about kind of randomizing that. Just say, like, what, we're going to play a 17-point game today. I'll pick 17 points of models. You pick 17 points of models. Let's just play the game. So the game does, it can work from a very casual kind of narrative type of game to a very competitive, almost like a bit of a meta in the background type thing. So yeah, so that's basically how that works. Now, we spoke before about affiliations, and what happens is Atomic Mass Games have on their website a list of affiliations, and this tells you which characters are affiliated with which different things. This is just an example here, so we can see there is Air Force, there's Asgard, there's Avengers, there is Black Order, and there is Brotherhood of Mutants. There's loads more as well, things like Cabal, and there is Guardians of the Galaxy, there is Criminal Syndicate, there's Web Warriors. Lots of different sort of affiliations, and some characters will be in more than one affiliation. Now, in order to get an affiliation, you need at least half of your mod, or you need more than half, sorry, not at least, you need more than half of your characters to share that affiliation. So, for example, if there's sort of, let's say there's 5 characters in your list, as long as 3 of them share the same affiliation, they can be classed as that affiliation. So as you collect kind of models and as you collect characters over time, you can kind of build certain kind of affiliation lists, if you like. However, if you're just new to the game, you just want to kind of play casually, you just want to buy the models that you like the look of, there is nothing stopping you from playing any characters you like. It doesn't matter whether they're heroes, it doesn't matter whether they're villains. You can just buy the characters you like and you can put them on the table and play the game. If you want to play super competitively, there's some benefits to kind of to being affiliated and using those leader abilities, but you don't have to. It's quite flexible in that way. And this list is updated regularly as new models release. This list gets updated regularly by Atomic Mass Games. So that is essentially basically how the game plays. What's the best way to kind of to get into the game? Now, even now, after kind of 2 years, the best way to get into this game is still to buy into the core set. The core set basically has, I'm going to have to count them now because I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's 10 models actually. There's a one missing. There's one missing from that picture. I think Doc Ock is missing from that picture. Yeah, there's 10 models in that core set. 5 per side. 5 for the Avengers. 5 for Evil Cabal. The villains, and each of those 2 basically add up to 17 points threat in for each side. So if you wanted to get started and just play against a friend as a 2-player starter set, you can quite happily play Avengers against Cabal, you can play Captain America against Red Skull, and there are 2 17-point lists in there. Included in this box are all the dice that you need, all of the measurement tools, the measurement gauge things, these bad boys. And there's also some terrain in there as well, and I wasn't aware that there was terrain when I first saw this set a while ago. So there's a couple of plastic cars, there's a couple of like dumpsters, there is a Daily Bugle kind of newsstand in there, there's a couple of lampposts and a couple of traffic lights. There's also like a little rubbish bin as well in there. And there's quite a lot of stuff in that core set. You obviously get all of the character cards as well, all these character cards. You get these crisis cards as well. These what they're called. These like special power card things, I forget what they are, and you get all these crisis cards. You also get an absolute bucket full of tokens as well that you use for different things, like tracking the different objectives on the battlefield, tracking when with different effects that happen, marking things like damage, marking things like power. So it is without a doubt still the best way to get started with the game. You can, in theory, buy this and never buy anything more. There's enough in here to be able to go into a competitive kind of sort of arena and play competitively. You have 10 models there, so you can have your 10 model roster. You have a mixture of characters where you could sort of have more than half and make a Cabal faction. You could have more than half and make an Avengers affiliation. You have all the different cards and stuff. So in theory, the game itself isn't that kind of expensive to play. Where it starts to get a bit more expensive is if you want to collect and you want to chase the meta and you want to try and sort of list build and craft a bit. But I would say that there's a real balance to the game where, as a game, it stands alone from that core set. As a collector, you just buy what you want, and then actually you can still play with whatever you buy. You're not limited. It's not like you're playing something like 40k and you're a Space Marine player, but you really like that new Orc release. But if I buy it, I can't use it in my games. That doesn't happen in this game. And this is basically how the range releases. Basically, there's about 104 characters that have been released now in the last 2 years. Each of these boxes come with the character in it. They're all hard plastic multi-part kits. They come with the character cards. Some of them come with extra crisis cards. Some of them come with extra sort of ability cards. They come with tokens that are sort of relevant. Some, for example, for the Dormammu one there, come with like a little mission thing to play as well. So there's lots of different things in them. Most of the kind of characters come in a box with 2 characters in. You can see there the Captain American War Machine is a box with 2 in. Some of the models are some of the boxes are a little bit bigger and just come with single characters. But yeah, there's a lot of choice. They're not the cheapest models, but I personally think there's some decent value in them. They're 32mm scale, so they're a little bit bigger than some 28mm stuff. And personally for me, I'm enjoying building them, I'm enjoying painting them, and I'm enjoying playing the game. So I feel like I'm getting value out of them. But I do appreciate people might look and just think, oh wow, like it's quite expensive for 1 or 2 models. But there again, the game doesn't use a lot of models. It's just expensive to collect. It's not expensive to play, I would say. Now, what Atomic Mass Games have also done is they've been selling terrain packs as well. So you do get some terrain in the core set. They also sell other terrain packs. Now, these again are all hard plastic. The quality of them is fantastic. They're not the cheapest on the market, but they are very nice. But when it comes to Marvel, there is a lot of choice. From things like different 3D printed files. I'm a big fan of Corvus Games Terrain. I've printed off a lot of their stuff. TT Combat and War Cradle Scenics do some really nice MDF stuff for the game. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and actually it's not massively out of scale with other stuff. It doesn't always have to be like a New York kind of town that you play in. You can play it in like a desert and make it like New Mexico, where kind of Thor's hammer was found. You can make it like up on a space station somewhere, something like Guardians of the Galaxy. The Marvel universe is so wide spanning over lots of different kind of places that you can kind of get away with using a lot of terrain that you already have from other games, and the scale isn't there sort of like a massive difference. So that's pretty much it when it comes to Marvel Crisis Protocol. That's how the game plays. I personally think it's one of the slickest rule sets I've ever played. I think it's a game that it's fast to play, it's fast to pick up. There's a lot of deep tactics in it. It can get really deep once you start to look in, trying to kind of sort of theory craft. Well, these are the kind of the crisis ones that I would really like to happen. And if I get this particular point what level, I'll do this list. And if I get this other point level, I'll do that list. And trying to kind of like theory craft and second guess that kind of stuff. You can, as I said before, you can buy whatever you want and play whatever you want. There's no limit in like, well, I play Avengers, but I really like that kind of Green Goblin model. If you like Green Goblin, buy Green Goblin, play him in your Avengers list. It's absolutely fine. Collecting can be expensive, as I said before. It's normally kind of in the high £20 for like a box with 2 models in. There's about 104 models, as I said before. If you're a collector and you feel the need to have everything that's out there, it's going to get expensive. But you don't need them to play the game. Don't think that you have to have them, therefore the game is very expensive. you can buy the core set to get started, and then over time you can add in a couple of characters here and there, the ones you like if you're just playing for kind of casual play. And if you're playing competitively, you can kind of craft the list you want and then just sort of look and see which models you need and buy those particular models. I also think as well as I said before, you can play this way where you're kind of like you're playing to kind of like randomly generate the lists, or you can play really casually and just say to a friend, look, we're gonna do this one, this spider infected invade Manhattan. We're playing that one tonight. 17 points. Bring your 17-point list, and we'll just play that kind of thing. And again, with the team tactics cards, these kind of special ability ones, you can choose to completely ignore them when you're first starting out if it's one more thing to kind of complicate things. But then once you get to grips with the game, you can add them in. And it absolutely gives some nice kind of like last-ditch moments just when you think it's all lost. Oh, I've got this card that lets me kind of heal up or something like that. And all of a sudden it's kind of game on again. So for me, it's a really, really unique game. I honestly think it is one of the best miniatures games out there. I purposefully said I was not going to talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol on this channel because I was kind of keeping it as a game for my hobby. I talk about games every day of the week. That's my job now. This is what I do. So I wanted something that was just my hobby to kind of like to keep in the background and not talk about it. However, I am enjoying this game so much. I find I can't not talk about it. Hence why I've done this video tonight. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is it a game that you're interested in? Is the price putting you off? Have you learned something tonight that maybe you didn't know about it? Or is it something that's maybe on your list to try out? Let me know. So folks, let me go back to the chat now and see what we're all doing. Right, Mexican, thank you very much. I heard that thing go through. You're a legend, mate. Thank you very much for the donation. I'm just going to dive in with some of the chat here tonight. See if there's anybody called anything particular out. I saw that one about coming to salute. Where were we up to here? Christian sharing the link there as well for the Patreon from as little as $2 a month. Thank you very much, mate. As I just mentioned there, this is my job. This is what I do. People like you, fine folks, the Patreons who support me, allow me to stay kind of independent. I don't do paid kind of videos. Nobody pays me to talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's a game where every single thing I have for this game, I have paid with my own money. Nobody sent me anything. I'm not talking about it because I'm getting free stuff or anything like that. It's a game I absolutely love. Being independent and being kind of community funded allows me to kind of do exactly that. Evening, Glenn Griffin, how are you doing? James is saying, note to self, don't take a swig of beer while holding a hobby knife. I've almost done the same thing once before, mate. Yeah, take care. Andy Smith, hello to you, mate, as well. Spiderlord says, just had a look on the site, didn't realise just how many characters there are now. Yeah, like I say, mate, there's about 104 characters now. There's a website, which actually I will bring it up. If I can find it now. Did I I'm trying to see, did I have it? I had it open. There it is. So there is a website. If I can go to, hang on, let me go. I need to close down that presentation thing first. Once I've closed that down, it should let me get this up. There we go. So why is that not showing up now? It's because it's sharing on. Hang on. Right, I know what I need to do. Just give me 2 seconds. It's because when I do it on the PowerPoint presentation, it goes to like a second screen. So what I need to do is I need to go to here. Deactivate and activate again. I don't know why it's not doing it now. Oh, the problem is I can't see it now. It's on a different screen. So here there is a website called MCP Database, and on here you can see all the different characters that there is. You can also see all the different cards and which packs the cards come in and all that kind of stuff. And it's a really, really good kind of sort of resource if you're really getting deep into the game. It doesn't really matter if you're just kind of new and you're just kind of having a look type thing. You're just getting started. But yeah, once you start to get a bit deeper into the game, yeah, it's a really, really good resource. Let me just go back to here as well. VJ saying he's got a Chibi Venom 3D model to print just to use in Marvel Chibi Protocol. Tony saying he really enjoyed painting the minis for this game. Ghost Rider was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying painting them, mate, to be honest. I've bought quite a lot of stuff. I can see a big pile over there. There's some in the living room that I was kind of priming yesterday as well. I just find that it's just, I can buy the odd 1 or 2 minis here and there. It's not a kind of a batch I have to paint like an army of them to get them fielded. I can buy a box with a couple of minis in, and I can put those 2 minis into my force and completely change the way that my kind of like my little squad plays. I just find it really, really rewarding. And then when it comes from a painting perspective, I'm just painting 1 or 2 models. I can knock a model out in one night and have them on the table the next day, kind of thing. Tony saying if you bought MCP minis, definitely go with Ghost Rider and Mysterio. I've got Ghost Rider, I haven't got Mysterio yet. VJ says, I love the way those range rulers are painted as energy glows. Anyone know a tutorial to do those? I've not seen a tutorial, mate. The way I've just painted mine is I primed them black, and then I started to just paint up the highlights. I'll probably do a little bit more kind of sort of highlighting and stuff on them, but I just painted them different colours purely so I could, at a glance, I could just kind of grab them. But they are numbered at the bottom as well. But they're actually kind of like the 3D plastic type thing. So where I've painted the green on the outside, those areas are raised, and where it's black in the middle, those areas are kind of recessed. So you might be able to see a little bit better that way, maybe. Might be able to see. There you go, anyway. Christian sharing the link there for T-shirts and hoodies. Thank you very much, mate. Spyload saying they've done Blade. I just bought Blade the other day, actually. So I got, you get Blade and Moon Knight in a pack together. Very nice. Tasty Brain Drain says the angrier Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. He does, mate. And actually, Hulk does not have a... have I got the Hulk card here? Hulk does not have a damaged side. He basically he never gets sort of dazed. He just keeps fighting. So yeah, he's a bit different. Lorbian said, do the D8 dice explode? As I mentioned before, they explode once. So if you roll a crit, you get to roll an extra dice, but it only happens once. What was that one? Let's have a look. Tiny War Games, thank you very much, mate. He says we're getting these models. Very nice, mate. Very nice. Thank you for your donation as well, Mexican. I've just got that one. Mark Faramond says 10 models plus 2 cars. Yes, thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I don't know why on the image I got offline. I don't know why Doc Ock was missing from that one. Tony saying, just a heads up, the cars and terrain bits are hidden under the box insert. Yeah, they are. When I first got them, I thought I was missing some bits. But yeah, they are nicely packaged and hidden away inside the box. Mark saying there, sorry I had to go away for a while. Did BlackJack mention that the rules are online? Kaylee Anderson, hello. Says, best thing about Marvel is all the terrain options. I've just printed. I can't actually see what that says there. Let me scroll down. It says... I've just printed and painted a bunch of Central Park terrain for a local tournament. There's some awesome stuff available. Some absolutely. I'll get it up on the screen in a little bit. Just some options that are out there actually. Where were we just talking about? We talked about. They mentioned about the rules are online if you need to download them. I didn't. So what comes in the starter box, the core box, is almost like a getting started rule book. It tells you how to play the game basically with what's in the box. And then basically the rules, which are constantly kind of updated as Atomic Mass Games makes any sort of changes to the game, they are free to download online. So you can go to the Atomic Mass Games website and download those rules for free now if you want to have a look at them. VJ is saying, just got a notification that my Marvel United Spider-Verse expansion's out for delivery. Nice one, mate. Nice one. Matt Jinx says there's a whole bunch of X-Men based on the 90s cartoon for you to enjoy if you're cultured too. Yeah, what I would say was if you're massively into Marvel through the movies, you'll still appreciate this. But this really is kind of based upon the kind of the Marvel comic book universe. Although there is still like a good crossover between that and the movies as well. What you tend to find is, like for example, just when Falcon and Winter Soldier came out on TV not too long ago. Along what came out was the Captain America Sam Wilson version. So it does tend to tie in a little bit. Tony's saying it's absolutely fine to mix heroes and villains in your squad, which is something I really like. It's a great thing. It means that there is no limitation to what you can buy. Like I said before, as an example, if you're a Space Marine player in 40k, but you really like the latest Orc release, it's almost a case of, well, I don't feel like I can buy it because I'm never going to get to use it. Like I haven't got like a full army to use it or something like that. In this game, if you see something that you like, you buy it because you can use it if you want. Mark's saying really fast to play and to get into, one of my all-time favourites. Really have enjoyed covering it and playing it for the past 2 years. It's an awesome game, Mark. Honestly, like I say, I did that video a while ago about why I was wrong about it. The more I play it, the more I read about it, the more I sit and build the models and paint it, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm enjoying collecting it. I'm enjoying playing the games. I haven't played a lot of games, but I've played enough to know that I love the game, and I've had every single game I've played I've found really enjoyable. And even me as kind of a relatively new player, I still know enough quite quickly to kind of put up a fight. Like I won my last game. It was still kind of like a bit of an intro game, but I still won it. It wasn't like thrown at me kind of thing. Kaylee saying yo just arrived, saw MCP and I clicked. Welcome, Kaylee. Nice to see you again. Austin saying, do you feel MCP is a good game to introduce new players to miniature war games? I actually do, mate, if I'm honest. I think what happens is, for a few reasons. One is, you get a lot of stuff in the box. Originally, when I saw it, I didn't realise you got the terrain in there, and I thought at like £100 list price, which is what the game was, that was quite a lot of money for like 10 models. Then when I kind of wind it back a little bit and I realised you can get it online with discount for about £75. I think I actually paid £65 for mine when I got it. So there is some big discounts that you can get out there. Plus it's got terrain, plus it's got the dice, plus all the tokens, plus all the cards, plus all the range rulers and everything else. I think there's a lot in there. You can literally play this with everything that's in the box, almost like a board game, and never buy anything else if you didn't want to. Some of the models are a little bit fiddly to build, but there is really, really good instructions inside. Once you've got them built, I think it's one of them games where even if you're a complete beginner to miniature games, you're not worrying about tape measures because you've got these measurement widgets. So anybody can see, oh, it says M on my movement stat, therefore I use the little tool with the M on it. That's how far I can move. So there's none of this kind of like inches and kind of tape measures and all that kind of stuff. And everybody kind of understands, like, you look at Captain America and he's got his big shield and he's got an attack where he can throw his shield. Like, I think the basics of the game kind of come across really well. So it's like, for example, we've got Captain America here. He wants to do a shield throw. It's got a range of 4, so I can hit anybody in that range. It's got a strength of 4, so I roll 4 of those red dice. And it has a power of 0, so it doesn't cost me anything to do it. So I roll those 4 dice and I'm looking for successes. It's that kind of simple. And then your opponent, that's a physical. So your opponent, let's say your opponent is, let's pick a bad guy. Let's pick Ultron. So Ultron basically looks on here and he says, right, I'm defending against a physical attack. It's got number 4 next to it. That means I'm rolling 4 dice. There's none of this kind of, oh, well, you're kind of behind a building, so you'll get like, so all of this kind of like different bits and pieces, or is modified because this weapon gives this modification, and it's not that difficult. Everything that's kind of, for example, everything Ultron can do is on the front of that card. He's got 3 attacks, and he's got 4 superpowers. One of them is like flight, so he can fly. Means he can move over buildings, for example. He's got one called All Will Be Metal, which means when defending against the mystic attacks, basically you can count the wild result in the defense roll as 2 successes. So there's things like that, but everything's on the card in front of you. You're not having to worry about the whole faction at the same time. I think it's more straightforward than I think people give it credit for. I think it can be deep, but it doesn't have to be, especially when you're first getting started. Kaylee's saying add a couple of characters. Stays at a complete set, 15 away from fully painted. Mine is going up quite quick, but I'll be honest, I came to terms with that the day I bought the core set, was that it was always going to be about, like, there's always going to be an element of collecting it for me as well. You don't have to buy everything. I think that's the key point. I think people see the price and they get put off and think they're going to cost them a fortune. It can cost you a fortune. You can spend as much as you want, but it is all optional. You, as I said before, you could buy the core set and never buy anything else and still quite happily play that game and buy an extra box with some more characters in it and add to it if you want to mix things up. Or if you're like me, you just start kind of collecting and you want to buy all the nice things because you like comic books and you like the Marvel world and all that kind of stuff. But it is optional. Collecting is expensive. Playing the game isn't. Ed's saying you have to think of the expansion boxes as 2 units rather than 2 minis. That's certainly how AMG view them, and at this point, it's very reasonably priced. Yeah, it is that you are adding units to your army basically. I think it depends upon. Somebody mentioned about they're too expensive for what you get, and I think it depends upon how you put value on it. So, for example, like if I grab, let's just this box here. So this is the Captain America and War Machine box. So you get those 2 models in there. You get a Captain America miniature, you get a War Machine miniature, you get the bases for them, you get the character stat cards, you get 4 team tactics cards. So that's these. You get 4 of these cards inside as well, and you get 11 tokens. So have I got? I think I've taken the tokens out, to be honest. Yeah, I have. I've taken the tokens out. So you get 11 tokens that are specific to these particular things. So there's a number of different things that you're getting in that box. I think that one was, I think I paid £27 for that. So two models, two hero models really. How much would you pay for 2 hero models from Mantic? How much would you pay for 2 hero models from GW? How like that? I think in that respect, it's relatively similar. But if you start looking at it as in, well, I want all 100 models. Then that's like saying I want every model Games Workshop make. It's just you're then collecting. Then that's a very different thing. Spiderlord says I almost wish they were not double packs, as they often pack an unpopular character with a main seller. I'm not sure that's necessarily the case, mate. I think all characters have options. What I would say, it's a shame that they're not always from the same kind of affiliation. However, you can still use anything in any one. That's all. Where are we up to here? Blizzard saying, they're the same scale as Malifaux and WoW Exodus. They are, mate. They are the same scale as that. And Dad's Gaming says definitely a very good game, also a gateway game. We started up playing it and doing videos on our channel after reducing the amount of GW content we do. Yeah, I mean, I don't really do much, if any, GW content these days. But it's a game that constantly has new stuff coming out for it. If you're somebody that likes to kind of have new stuff, certainly got a game that's got lots of new stuff coming out for it. If you like the community feel, the Marvel community seem to be a really friendly bunch. My experience so far is that they seem to be a really good sort of lively community with lots of positivity about them. They certainly seem to be keen on building community and building events and that type of stuff. If you're into 3D printing, there's a lot of people out there 3D printing scenery and terrain. Some people are sculpting kind of alternative models as well for the game. So if you're into the 3D printing side of things, there's always that as well. Painting wise, you're not painting the volume of models. So if you're somebody that just likes to paint stuff, you can pick and choose the characters that you like. I just think there's a lot of good about it. Tizzy Brentrin says, most definitely a game I'm interested in, but it's got to be a while before I get it, mainly due to price. I think that's a thing, mate, as well. If you think of the core set, for example, the core set is about £74 on Amazon at the moment. If you click my Amazon affiliate link and put in a search for Marvel Crisis Protocol, it's up there for £74 at the minute. I think it's cheaper than Goblin Gaming. Goblin Gaming's got it up for like 84 or something. I don't think £74 is expensive for a 2-player starter set. Like we were talking about Dead Zone. How much was Dead Zone? Dead Zone was like £75, I think it was. The Wild West Exodus starter set was a similar price, maybe £75, £80, something like that. I don't think that's a bad price for a starter set with that amount of stuff in it. And like I said before, you can treat that as just everything you need to play. So I don't think it's not cheap, don't get me wrong, it's not like a tenner, but I don't think it's expensive in comparison to the other games that are out there. Luke Pryor says, have I missed the party? I don't think so, man. I think you're probably just catching up on the end of that bit. Dad's Gaming saying, I will say the miniatures are a bit fiddly to assemble, so it's not the most friendly beginner game hobby-wise. Some of them are a bit fiddly. I would agree with that. However, I would counter it with there's a lot of games are fiddly to build at the minute. I think GW minis are getting more and more fiddly. The more they try to hide mold lines and make them more intricate and make them single pose, I think they're getting more difficult to build. I think Marvel miniatures are quite difficult. Not Marvel, sorry. I think Malifaux minis can be fiddly to build. I think Wild West Exodus minis can be fiddly to build at times. I think as quality of sculpts gets better, I think it is making companies split them down into more and more smaller parts to kind of increase the quality. And I think a lot of companies are getting a bit more fiddly to build at the moment. But at least they come with very, very good instructions on how to build them. Let's have a little look here. Hello, Peter Kuman, how you doing? Dad's Gaming saying, yeah, most small parts come with extras. Yeah, for some things, if there is any little fiddly bits, like tiny little heads or anything like that, they sometimes come with a couple on the sprue. So if you do lose one, you've got a backup one, which is not something you see very often elsewhere. Kath saying, I love Marvel, had some birthday pennies, and I got the core set. Looks like a game you can learn quickly. It definitely is. Greg says, and that doesn't include Cosmic Encounters. Cosmic Encounters, but we were just talking about that as well. Yeah, the Cosmic Encounters are stuff on the Marvel website as well, which are basically kind of like missions and stuff that you can play. Some of them where you can like team up against. There's one where you can team up against Ultron, for example. I've got the Dormammu model coming for as a birthday gift from my family, and that comes with like an encounter thing there as well to play like a special mission like that you can basically play in there as well. Mark saying Shuri's gauntlets are one of the worst possible things ever, sadly, but the model is awesome. I've not built that model yet, so I wouldn't be able to tell, mate. Let me try and catch up on some of this stuff here. Dad's Gaming saying, priming the rulers black and giving them a base colour on the lower parts with a white or light bone to do a gradient with contrast paints looks awesome. Yeah. Wayne saying AMG did a Twitch video painting the templates. Oh, there you go, mate. So there is one. Defcon says, I've been on the fence with Marvel for ages, though I seen Juggernaut coming out and he looks amazing. He does look awesome, mate. Tiberius says, the angrier I get, the stronger I get too. Dad's Gaming saying, I like for the bases, there's little details like flasks and cans and cups. They're in the middle of the sprue, so I don't think I noticed it originally, but it basically when you buy a model you tend to get like a little sprue which has like 4 of the bases on it, and in the middle of that is little things like crushed cans and kind of like sort of little bits of extras that you can kind of decorate the bases with. I think it's a nice little touch basically. Mark saying, as for Terrain, X-Mansion and Blackbird could well be out soon. Yeah, definitely, mate. Christian sharing the link there as well for the Goblin Gaming link. Thank you very much, mate. Luke saying, I find some of the minis have a styling that looks like they'd take a bit of the comic and a bit of the movie and merge them. Maybe that's just my interpretation. I think most of them... Do you know what it is, mate? I think they're all basically kind of comic book inspired. But some of them, I think some of the Marvel cinematic stuff is more inspired from the comics. Other bits are basically completely different. I wouldn't say any of it doesn't kind of hinge together, for example. I think it all looks good. A bit of chat going backwards and forwards there. Mark saying Ultron is one of the best in the core set. It's a really nice model, I'll be honest. I've got mine over here actually, but I think they're just slightly out of range from me. Oh, can I reach them? Yes, just. So I have painted up the entirety of my core set, plus some extra bits and pieces. But yeah, so my Ultron model there isn't. I don't know if I can get nice and close there, but Ultron's is an awesome model. So obviously that kind of like the rock thing that he's standing on and stuff. That's all kind of part of the kit that comes as well, and then you've got things like Doc Ock as well, and that type of stuff. And then there's things like Captain Marvel. I think the models are great. I'm a big fan of them. What can I say? That's why I'm talking about it. I'm a big fan. Tasty Brain Train says, as much as I would like to collect many of these, I think that I will limit my purchase to just enough minis to be able to play. Yeah, you absolutely can, mate. Like I say, it's completely optional. You do not need to buy more to play, not like some games. But if you want to collect, then that's obviously that's a different kettle of fish. Mark says some of the bigger models are really well worth it, such as the Marmu. Let's hope so, mate. It's literally it's sitting in my kitchen at the minute, but I can't have it till my birthday because I even bought it because my family were like, "So what's this thing that you want?" And I'm trying to explain it, and they went, "Will you just buy it and we'll get it for you," kind of thing. So it's sitting in my kitchen at the moment. Jill says, looks like the core set is now sitting around £85 with online discounts. Yeah, if you go to, I was literally just searching tonight. So if you go to, there's a company called Ashdown Gaming, has it for £73 at the moment. If you go to Amazon, it is £74.46 at the moment. Goblin Gaming has it for about £85. Dyson Dex has it for $79.99. So there is still deals. Like I say, that if you click through my Amazon affiliate link, which I think Christian's already shared tonight, and then search for Marvel Crisis Protocol, it is $74.46, which I don't think is too bad a price, to be fair. But yeah, I think I got mine a while ago before, because it seems to have really kind of it's got really popular of late, and I think I bought mine maybe when it was just coming out of lockdown or while we were still in lockdown, and I think I got it like on offer at Zatu Games. I think I got it for, and it was like 64 or 67 I might have paid for it. Ed says, if you're mainly a painter, I agree the value isn't great. That's not me though, the fact that each mini is a unit in itself, so I have less to paint as a bonus. I'm not sure, mate. If you're a painter, you're probably not buying as many anyway, and if you compare a model, or if you compare a pack of two models to like a hero model from GW, or kind of like a leader model or something like that from like Mantic, or from someone like, let's say, I don't know, like Infinity from Corvus Belli, I think they're similar prices really in that respect. Yeah, Tony's saying GW you're looking at £20 plus for a character mini these days. Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah. Let's have a little look. Stu saying, yeah, under £75 from Amazon. Yeah, delivered tomorrow, especially if you use a BlackJack link. Yeah, there you go, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, Peter saying $74.99 Amazon Prime. Blizzard saying, the fact they don't sell them as singles kind of put me off. I'd love to get Mysterio, but can't stand Carnage and would never use him. There is that element if you don't like one of the models in the pack. However, you can sell them on. There will be, if the way you feel about that, there'll be somebody else who wants Mysterio and doesn't, or wants Carnage to put in a list somewhere. So you can always sell them on yourself as well. But yeah, I get there has to be an economical way to be able to kind of sell them on, and I think packaging them all singly would make it a nightmare for retailers. It would make it a nightmare for shipping, and it would probably make it less. It'd probably make them individually more expensive, to be honest. So I guess it's just it's the best way to do it from that respect. Tony saying, I'm the painty type, so units don't really mean much to me. Mind you, I don't worry so much about value either, as long as I like the mini. Yeah, and that's it, mate. Value is all very perceptive, sort of perception about like it, as long as you get time and enjoyment from it, then it's value kind of thing, depending upon how much it is, I suppose. Ed saying, having just built a Necromunda gang, I'd say Marvel ones are not that bad. That's exactly my point, mate. I remember building some Necromunda ones that were a nightmare. Like I say, I think anything that's more like single pose these days are becoming more and more detailed, and I think that means more and more bits, unfortunately. Kaylee's saying there, even simple kits can be fiddly to build. A bunch of the Warlord games, World War II infantry are horrible. Yeah, the ones where they've got separate arms and separate weapons are a nightmare to get things lined up on. Mark said about the Ultimate Encounters pit you against Ultron, Hulk, Dormammu and Thanos. Yeah, speaking of which, he is amazing. Greg says, I rarely play the official setup rules. For new players or multiplayer, have each person play one model in a 2v2, no tactics, simple thematic, and ready showcase the heroes. That's what I agree, mate. When I first played, the first games I didn't play with any of the tactics cards. just said, like, right, look, we're just going to play these 2 missions, 17 points, straight out the core box, we'll play them. And then the game I played the other day, we actually went through it and picked my tactics cards and kind of drafted them in, and then picked them out and played by the new rules where you pick them randomly, and did it by that way. And I think both's fun, but you can certainly make it sort of simple. You can make it easier and not have a lot of that. Kaylee saying, tip I have for the small parts, don't fully cut them off the sprue. Use the sprue as a point to hold onto and trim the nub off afterwards. Good tip. Tiberius is saying Chaos cards are selling the set for less as well with free postage. Mark saying Deadpool comes with attackers and pigeons on the NYC, and there's pigeons on the NYC apartment. Yeah, the Deadpool one, which I have here, basically comes with, it doesn't really show you as well randomly, it doesn't really tell you on here, but it comes with like alternative heads and alternative body parts, so you can build them in different ways. And then the sprues, which I think I've taken out. Yeah, I have now. Basically comes with loads of like little tacos and trays and kind of like drinks cups and all sorts of stuff that you can either put on the truck, you can put them on the bases, kind of like lying around and stuff. There's some really cool. He says, it's stopping there now. There's some really cool stuff on it. Rob saying, yeah, the bases are pretty cool for Marvel. They definitely are, mate. The only thing I would say is that they are basically all the same. And it would be nice to have a little bit of kind of a bit of difference in them, I think. Mark says I have reviews of the core set in the first 20 or so boxes on Gamers Web if you want to know more. Tyrese is in Megalopus, is it? It's selling less again, but limited stock. And Mark's in there, anything to help push this game. It's so good and needs exposure. I am quite surprised that there's not more stuff about it online, if I'm honest. It's starting to gather a bit of momentum, certainly locally in my area. But I'm always surprised at how little content there is out there for it. Defcon C says, you said had Moon Knight. Do you think you'll share tips for painting him? My son's really got into him recently, proud and worried at the same time. Could be a mini that makes him game. Yeah, if folks are interested in seeing some of the painting stuff. Yeah, I literally primed them last night. So I got Moon Knight and Blade. What did I do last night? I did Moon Knight, Blade. I did War Machine, Captain America, the Falcon version. I did Miss Marvel and the big version. I've got Hulkbuster and the Iron Man that comes with it. Is there anything else? I'm sure there was something else I did as well. I feel like there's another model. But yeah, that's what I was priming last night. Tiberius saying I sort of sidelined this in favour of Batman. Yeah, I've heard good things about the Batman game as well, mate. But like there's a small batch of people play Batman locally. There's like about 2 or 3 massive kind of groups of folks are playing Marvel now. It's for me, I think it's taken over AOS. AOS is kind of hardly played locally anymore now. Marvel is definitely the game that kind of sees a lot more airtime. Phil Campbell, hello to you, mate. VJ says both Carnage and Mysterio are awesome. I've got chibis for both. Jill says, are the extra Crisis cards in with models or separate car packs? They're in with the models, Jill. So what I would say is I don't really hear people saying you have to buy this model because that card is just like so powerful you have to have it. So it's not like the old X-Wing days and stuff like that. But it's a case of it's like they're nice to have that basically you get these cards as like basically as you expand your collection you get more of these cards to choose from. But they do come in the packs. Christian, take care, mate. Thank you very much. Super Pumpkin Man saying, since me and my friends play 80s Marvel superhero RPG and it does use maps for villain encounters, I think it'd be worth buying a handful of these instead of using tokens. It would certainly set your games off, mate, that's for sure. Mia Folk Bear says, hello from Seattle, great show. Thank you very much. So I've been thinking about picking up this game. I would heartily recommend it, but I'm biased. I love the game, so there you go. Yag saying, I really like the detail and scale of the game, similar to Batman in terms of scale. They look great. It is similar to Batman in terms of scale. However, what I would say is these are all hard plastic, where the Batman stuff is all resin. And I would definitely go with plastic over resin personally. given the option, of course. VJ saying, Posey just arrived, new toys, nice one. Major Tom says, Marvel's been in the top 5 on ICV2 for ages now. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's a game that came out of like kind of COVID and the lockdown stuff. I'm not suggesting COVID's disappeared, but you know what I mean. Like obviously when we were all locked down and we literally couldn't leave our houses, I think it's a game that come out of that much better. I think games like X-Wing that need a lot of face-to-face play suffered a little bit. I think AOS suffered massively. I think 40k survived because 40k is a huge game and folks just sort of throw money at that game. But I think for one reason or another, Marvel really did weather the storm. Bearing in mind, it only came out 4 months before the kind of the world locked down. It's done really well to come out of like kind of that period of no gaming, no face-to-face gaming. It's done really well to come out of it so strong. And I think what seems to have happened locally is there was a lot of people basically wanted something completely different to paint. They painted some Marvel stuff. They were playing on Tabletop Simulator. There was like big leagues and competitions and stuff on Tabletop Simulator. The Tabletop Simulator version for this is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best Tabletop Simulator versions of any game that there is. And even now, there is still like a lot of like online leagues and stuff. And now we're starting to see a really, really healthy sort of tournament and event circuit for it as well. Tony saying, pretty popular in our area too. 2 tournaments at Leotis in the last couple of months. And Rich played, I think 18 games against 18 opponents in 24 hours on his stream. He did, mate, yeah. There's 2 events this weekend locally to me. One in a place called the Bearded Card Trader and another one at Battle Bunker over in Sunderland. So 2 events in the area, and both are being kind of well attended. Defcon says, did you see who your favourite affiliation would be? At the minute, I'm kind of playing a mix of either Defenders or I'm playing Avengers at the moment, just purely through the models I bought. They're my tastes and they're the models I like the look of. But I've got enough models to be playing the Web Warriors sort of faction, and I've also got quite a bit of Cabal stuff as well. So yeah, I've got a few different bits and pieces, but I think I'm kind of getting a bit of sort of a collection going, really, to be fair. Luke saying his mate is a local group in Cambridge that play loads, also plays a weekly game with a huge community on TTS as well, because they made surprisingly good setup for it. They have, mate. Yeah, you're right. Greg saying we're seeing the same resurgence of Legion. It being AMG will be good for the game. It's interesting, mate, because I'm not hearing the same for Legion, but I'm glad to hear that's the case. I know the X-Wing community are having a little bit of a downer on the game at the moment, saying that AMG are not doing any favours, but I'm not close enough to understand what the issues are there. Kaylee says there are 1 or 2 cards that you do want if you want to play competitive. All you've got from the Miles and Gwen and Doom Prophecy from the Loki and Hela are pretty much mandatory. Yeah, but I think it's, like you see, I think it's minimal though in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? VG saying, I hope they do a Spider-Ham. It's possible, mate. We've got Miles Morales. We've got a couple of different Spider-Man versions. Who knows? Tybu says, you think Disney Plus launching figuratively minutes before lockdown happened has anything to do with it? One of the first things I did was binge on films in chronological order. I think it can't have done it any harm, mate, to be fair. I mean, Marvel's as big as it's ever been, really. Like kind of around that time, I think it certainly helped. Things like the Loki TV show, the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, the WandaVision. I think they all certainly helped things. Obviously, we had Black Widow coming out as well over that time. So yeah, I don't think it kind of did any harm. Let's be honest, it didn't do any bad stuff. But I think the fact that you don't have to buy a lot, that people are just kind of like most of the folks I know have kind of bought in a big way, and because they're collectors like I am. Like I'll always collect and paint more often than I play. So I have to get value from it in terms of like I remember sitting painting these models and enjoying every minute of it, and loving the fact, like when I did my Hulk model, which I've shown a million times, when I did this, just sitting painting that because I knew I would never have to paint it again. So just enjoying the process of layering on the different greens. And I love. I've never played with them yet in a game. I haven't put them on the table, but I love the fact that I'm just kind of sitting painting. I can see over there I've got my Hulkbuster model, which I'm halfway through. Let me go and grab it and stick it on the stream. Just grabbing it. I've got my Hulkbuster model that I'm kind of halfway through painting at the moment, and I'm just enjoying it. I'm not rushing it. Every now and again I might just sit and just have half an hour just putting on the bits of gold and stuff, just as a reference point for the different sizes. A Hulkbuster, we've got the Hulk model there as well, and then if I can hold more than two in my hand, and then let's have Iron Man as an example, basically from a sizing perspective. It gives you a little bit of an idea of the sizes of the different models and stuff. But yeah, I'm loving them, mate. I'm just absolutely loving the kind of the joy of just painting one model. Like, oh, I paint that one model, I'll never paint it again. It'll always be there, even if it sits on my shelf. I've got my value out of it, really. Mark's saying all the Disney Plus shows have 3D prints of the characters. Yeah, so there's a lot of people have been, certainly the 3D print companies have been doing a bit of that. So you can certainly get things like Captain Carter and that sort of stuff. Mark saying Hulk is a glass hammer. He's pretty easy to take out if you know what to do. His new stats are pretty good, mine, to be fair. He's got a lot better. Mark says, I love that Marvel and Wild West Extras both have low model counts, so you can really enjoy the painting side of the hobby rather than churning out dozens of models. Yeah, I think it's a big thing for me. I mean, I do like the visual appeal of a big army, but I quite like skirmish games in general. I like painting sort of smaller numbers. That's why I love Malifaux. It's why I love Marvel. It's why I love Wild West Exodus. I do like some of the bigger scale stuff as well, but if I could only kind of paint, if I could only pick one or two games, they would definitely be skirmish games, that's for sure. So, folks, how are we doing for time? Let's have a little look. 10:30, that's not too bad. So we went through quite a bit tonight. So what's people's thoughts there? First of all, what did you think of the stream? Did it touch all the corners that you wanted to know about? Those folks that didn't know anything, those folks who thought they kind of were maybe interested in it, did it give you any information that you didn't know about? Was it useful? Kaylee said, I'm churning out terrain instead. The FDM print is running pretty much non-stop. Mine's been doing exactly the same, Kaylee, to be honest. I literally only stopped it last week. I've been printing off a full kind of subway, a full New York subway. So I've been printing off all that stuff. And I just got sent some files today as well to print off, which are like, they're buildings which double up as like storage stuff as well for tokens and measurement things and things. Mark says, I only have resin printers working at the moment, so I'm the opposite. Excellent stream, thanks. Thank you very much, Mark. It's just good to get a little bit of feedback to see whether it takes quite a bit of prep to do this kind of stuff, to obviously make all the slides and put all the words into it and make sure I'm kind of covering all the bits and pieces. I just kind of want to just get a little bit of feedback to see whether whether it hits the mark or I'm kind of missing it, really. Tall Martin, stream was awesome. I'm getting MCP next year for sure. Thank you, mate. Kaylee says, literally on my bed at the moment, the Corvus game Subway. I don't think I've got. Have I got a picture of it? Let me see if I've got a picture. Where did I share the picture? I think I shared it in our Facebook group. So if I can find the picture, I will share it on the stream of what I've been doing. So if I go to our group, if I go to photos, bear with me, folks, bear with me. See if I can search for my group activity. There we go. I can scroll down and see if I can find it quickly. There it is. So let's see which one will I get if I press that one. Right, so that one, I don't know why it's let me get rid of that. it's basically kind of, it's giving me a second screen, so I'm trying to see how I can switch it across to the other screen. Because if I take it over there, it won't. Why is it doing that? I'll tell you what, give me a second. If I unplug that and then plug it back in again, it might forget it had a second screen. Is it? No, it's not forgetting it's got a second screen. I'll find a way, folks. Honestly, I'll get back. I'll find a way to get it. Let me just, if I do display settings, and just have duplicate these displays. That might do it. And then if I go back to here and see if it comes up now, there it is. Yes, I managed to get it. So that's what I've been printing off. I've been getting that, and it's taken me about 6 weeks of non-stop day and night printing to get that. So yeah, it's coming together. But yeah, I basically wanted to print it all off before I started painting it, before I started priming it and stuff, because the quicker way would have been to prime each piece as I printed it off, but I'm doing it for a video as well, so that's why it's kind of in that situation. So yeah, I'm excited to get started on it. Markson, you did a grand job. Thank you very much, mate. John, good evening, mate. He said, I'll watch it back, but I've been painting along with my Ghost Rider. Nice one. Yeah, Mark saying the cover stuff is amazing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the cover stuff. Jim says, I have to go back and watch. YouTube didn't notify me of the stream. YouTube, the evil, evil child. Jill says, cracking stream, mate. Thank you. Your enthusiasm is contagious, as always. Thank you very much. That clipped bit out is going to be a great intro video. That's the plan. That's why I decided to do it as an additional one. So I'll tidy it up tomorrow and get it up as like an extra video. Because what will happen is people won't tune in for like a 2-hour stream, but they will watch back like a half an hour kind of intro to the game kind of thing. The ones I've done for things like for Malifaux and for like Dreadball and stuff, that they do well over time. Basically, people keep searching for them and finding them later. Marksy and Battle Kiwi do some amazing stuff. They do, mate. It's just a bit expensive being like completely other side of the world. It's a bit expensive to get stuff shipped over. I know a lot of my mates have bought the I think it's the Battle Kiwi sort of token trays and stuff, but they all kind of clubbed together and bought like a whole host of the stuff. Greg saying, yeah, I've avoided Legion forever, but too many similarities to other FFG games I'm familiar with. Going to LVO and the turnout for Legion is big. Nice one. I've heard Legion does better, I think, over in the States. And I think there's pockets of it in the UK as well where it does well. But it's not something that I really hear a lot about locally, to be fair. Mark's saying it's an amazing terrain board. Yeah, it's took some printing, mate, that's for sure. Rob saying he's enjoyed it. James said he enjoyed it as well. Annoyed I passed up on the chance to get the core set for 50 quid last month. Yeah, honestly, mate, 50 quid is an absolute steal. I'd have been tempted to pick it up for 50 quid just for the extra terrain and probably sell the minis on, keep the dice and the tokens and stuff like that. Busey says, how many spools has that used? I think I've probably used about 5, mate, I think. About 5 spools. Mark saying, yeah, I reviewed the token boxes from Kiwi last year. Yeah, they're good stuff. Like I see, like I think they're the MDF ones, aren't they? I think a lot of the local guys have got them, but it was a fortune to get them shipped over. Ed saying, Legion's growing around there, bigger than MCP and AOS. Whereabouts are you based, Ed? Because I know Manchester used to have a decent kind of Legion group, but they seem to, that group seems to be kind of a lot more Marvel now as well. Greg saying the stream was great, thank you. I think the explanation is more complicated than it is. Yeah, I think, to be honest, most games are a bit like that. It's like, even kind of like, until you actually get there and just start pushing minis around, you realise just how simple it is. But it's like, it is just a case of, I want to do that attack. it costs. It's 4 dice, and it costs me a power to do it. That's it. I'm going to do that, and I want to move. I move like that. It is that. It is really that simple, really. Ed St. Peterborough. I'm not familiar with the scene down there, obviously, mate. But it's interesting. It's interesting that there's always local pockets dotted about the place where some games do but better than others. Like I say, my local area used to be pretty much AOS. Like that, my local clubs, the local stores was all AOS in there and 40k for a long time. And yet, last time I was at the club, last time I was at the store recently, there was loads of games of Marvel. There was Song of Ice and Fire. I think there was one game of 40k. Some guys were playing Batman miniatures game. There was Kings of War going on. It feels like other games are much more. People are starting to kind of branch out a little bit, I think, these days. Definitely less GW stuff going on, I think. Still massive, still massive. It still dominates gaming, I think. But I think people are branching out a little bit more now. I have heard of Peterborough. Yeah, thank you very much. Excuse me while I get a quick drink. Well, I keep banging the microphone stand there on the way past. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving the game at the moment. Jill saying people changing things up is a good sign for the hobby. Rising tides and all that. I agree, Jill. I think I'm not I'm not a fanboy for any one particular company. It's not like I kind of like love them and hate anybody else kind of thing. I want to see all companies doing well, like all miniature games doing well. I want to see all them games that people have ploughed kind of like their love and their attention into making and getting them to the shelf. I want to see them all being played. And it's nice to see people expanding their horizons outside of just 40k, for example. And I say that because it's just so, or it's historically been so dominating that it's nice to see people kind of trying other stuff. I don't really care what it is. It's just nice to see other stuff getting some game time as well. Mark saying Edinburgh's mostly 40k and AOS, but Marvel and WoW Exodus are picking up. That's good to hear, mate. Jason saying so many good tabletop games out there. There certainly is, buddy. VG says, can anyone recommend a good mat for Marvel? The one I've seen online is a bit sci-fi. Yeah, the sci-fi one, mate, it's not my favourite. There's some good ones. The official Marvel one's pretty good, but it's always out of stock. There are some good ones. There's a French company do some really nice ones. I forget what they're called. And Deep Cut Studio do some quite nice ones as well, mate. I haven't seen Tiny War Games, who are often in the stream. I've not seen if they do any yet. But if he doesn't, he certainly should, because getting Marvel mats is not easy. Hence why I decided to go down the route of making my own, really. Jill said Edinburgh's a funny wee spot for different games. It says I often wish I'd never heard of Peterborough. Yeah, more variety in the hobby is fantastic. Variety is the spice of life. It's what I love about like all of us lot getting together, because like we all like different things. We don't like this stream is always like a mixture of gamers, people who play different stuff, and it's not about like your games are total rubbish and my game's the only game you should play. It's about opening horizons, and it's about sharing experiences, and like games grow out of basically somewhere along the line somebody plays 2 or 3 different games, takes all the best bits and creates their own game, which is then better than the rest, and then basically somebody learns from that bit. Like if we look at Marvel, like they've taken these kind of movements from Star Wars Legion. That's a completely thing. They've taken the dice rolls, which are essentially kind of like a almost like an X-Wing type thing. Like the way that the game's basically is definitely around missions and not around killing each other is taken from other games. Like everything is learning from something else. There's a lot of War Machine in this game. You can feel the influence that the guys who created it came from Privateer Press. So there's a lot being learned from other games, and that's the beauty. Like just kind of play more stuff, learn more stuff, experience more stuff. Jill saying, what's the mat size? Yeah, it's 3x3, Jill, yeah. VJ saying he's in Australia, everything's more expensive. The Newman Show, good evening. He says, seeing Alternative Studios games Marvel Wild West Exodus Malifaux begin to pick up some real steam as a treat. I could not be happier. I mean, obviously for me personally, it's never a bad thing. Kind of like people wanting to be interested in other stuff and the games that I've covered since day one. Basically, the kind of the other stuff that's out there. But yeah, I like to see people just getting excited. I like to see people getting excited about games. I like to see people discovering new stuff. I like to see people being passionate about stuff and not just constantly basically hearing that drone of, oh, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of that, that's too expensive. Why don't they release this? Why? It's nice to hear positive stuff. Yeah, VJ saying Deep Cut Studios is €40 plus postage. Nice, but a bit pricey. I think that's about the price for mats these days, to be fair, though, mate. Greg saying worth it, yeah. Yoakum says, great stream, Andy. I'm not a Marvel fan, but the game sure sounds interesting. Maybe one day. It's a game I would certainly recommend having a demo, mate, if you get the opportunity. But take care, buddy. VJ saying, I've got some Warzone Studios ones. They're well priced. Might see if they have something. I don't know who Warzone Studios are. It's not somebody I've heard of, actually. Ed saying the X-Wing stuff, by the way, is mostly people complaining about things that give new players a bad time being taken out. That's what I've heard about. That's exactly what I've heard about. There was somebody, the first person that commented on this video today was saying, seeing how AMG are absolutely ruining X-Wing, I won't be giving them a single penny of my money. And I thought, oh, there we go. We're not even talking about X-Wing, but that's what's happening. Tony says, I'm really enjoying painting some War Cradle and weird stuff at the moment. There's some really exciting and fun models out there from both. There's so much nice stuff out there, mate. It's nice to be passionate about a game, and it's nice to get all involved in it and reading all the background lore and kind of brushing up on the rules and playing games and painting the minis. But as long as folks are enjoying the hobby, it doesn't really matter what it is, actually, does it? It honestly doesn't. Hobby Lodge, hello, fella. He says he missed the stream, but you go back and listen. Actually interested in this game. Sorry for missing the show. Don't worry at all about me. I know you were doing your stream earlier on as well. Take care, buddy. But yeah, I'll be putting this up as a clipped kind of like a shortened version as well tomorrow. Or you can obviously get yourself a cup of coffee and sit and listen to the whole thing. Colton saying, yeah, they changed how order of activation goes when ships are of the same initiative, I believe, and it's made people lose their minds. It's a funny thing. A similar thing happened with Guild Ball when it ended, obviously. And one of the things that came out was that basically they were trying to change the game to be more inviting to new players, and it basically upset existing players. And I think they kind of found that they kind of gone down a design cul-de-sac, and it's like, if we try and make it more appealing to new players, we're going to kill off the existing ones. And if we don't make it more appealing to new players, we're going to kill off the entire game because nobody's buying stuff anymore. So I think when you get a really competitive game, you can design yourself into a bit of a cul-de-sac. I think one of the things that Marvel has got going for it is the fact that you can buy anything. Not one thing is like it's not just this faction or just this team. You can literally buy anything, and I think that's a good sales model for a long-term plan. Jill saying, wait, someone in the Star Wars community being rude online. James saying, rereading some of the Carnivale lore after your great interview. Love this world. Yes, I'll be reading the book as well. I couldn't believe how much lore is in that book, mate. It is absolutely packed. The rules are such a small part of that big Carnivale book. Ed saying, I'm a long-term Wave 3 of First Edition competitive X-Wing player, and TO, there's no ruining going on, just making the game more accessible. There's always going to be somebody who will see it from a different perspective, I suppose, isn't there? Rob saying, right now, Marvel's on the back shelf, building up a little corner of Venice at the moment. Nice, mate. I thought I saw you lurking around the Carnivale website, Facebook groups as well, buddy. Super Punkin Man says the other thing it has going is it's not Curse City. There is that as well, buddy. Luke says, I see some Carnivale in my future at Salute on Saturday if they have a good offer on. Wanted it since we had that game. Yeah, I must admit, I obviously interviewed Lewis from TT Combat, and it was great to talk to him, and he was obviously really passionate about the game. But I think it was when I watched the video back while I was editing it to do for the stream. If anybody hasn't seen it, it was the video I did last week. It was up on Thursday last week. It's still there to watch. An interview with Lewis Clark from TT Combat about Carnivalia, their game, sort of weird world, like alternative history game. And the passion that he has for that game absolutely comes through in bucketfuls. And I always love talking to people who are just passionate about what they do. It doesn't matter what their job is. It doesn't matter what their hobby is. Whatever it is, as long as they got some passion for it. Like, it can't help but inspire you. It might not be something you're interested in, but it's awesome to talk to folks who just love something, whatever that is. It might be their football team, it might be their pets, it might be their kids, it might be their job, it might be their hobby. But whatever they're passionate about, you can't fail to be inspired by passionate people. You should always surround yourself with kind of positive, passionate people. VG says, yeah, listen to Carnival interview on my run this morning. Great stuff. Thank you, buddy. And Jill says, finally caught up with the interviews over the weekend. It was a great one. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. I'm looking to kind of, views wise, they don't do fantastic. The Mantic one did okay because I guess more people are generally interested in Mantic stuff. But I enjoy doing them, so I'm going to keep doing them. I've got a few in mind who I want to tap up to do interviews. So yeah, I'll continue to do them. There'll be a Wild West Exodus video coming up this week. So obviously tomorrow there'll be the clipped video from tonight, which is the Marvel stuff. Wednesday we'll have the painting stream. Either Thursday or Friday we'll have the Wild West Exodus video that I've got to edit, and then potentially the week after might be another interview if I can kind of pin down the person that I'm thinking of trying to pin down. Jill says, passionate people are great unless they've got mountains of baby photos. Yeah, or holiday snaps. Don't be passionate about your holiday. I'm not that interested. Jim says, whatever, Andy. Imagine just hearing someone be passionate about something and then blindly going out and spending a load of money. Anyway, I'm off to buy Marvel. Fiji says, passionate people are great as long as they respect boundaries. Yeah, I think when it bounces over, it depends upon whether they're just being passionate about their own thing or whether they're becoming preachy and evangelical almost. Like, there's a difference there's a difference about saying I love this thing and then saying I love this thing, you should love this thing as well. That's when it gets a bit boundary a bit. Jill says, I have so many holiday snaps of Venice, I'm sick of them. I'll stick them all in the Discord and give you a text to her. To be fair, it might be a little bit of terrain building inspiration, to be fair, for some folks. James is saying, my photo library is 50% kids and 50% hobby. It's a risk. Mine is generally pretty much all hobby. I don't take a lot of photographs unless it's miniature stuff, to be fair. But then I never really share them with anybody. So yeah, there's very, very little in that respect. Yeah, not a lot at all. Jill says, walking the line, James, so long as you mix them in the slide, Jill. Definitely. Mark says, thanks, Andy, for an amazing stream. I hope to catch you soon, mate. Thank you very much, mate. You too. Take care, everyone, and I'll let you know when the demos are happening. And Jill says, hobby and cats. And Jim saying, don't know who they belong to. Right, folks, I think I'm gonna wind that up now because I've got an early hospital appointment again in the morning. I've got to be there for 10 to 9 for another check. I was there today again for a couple of hours. I've got to be there again tomorrow in the morning. So yes, I think I'm going to call it an early one tonight and get my head down and get some sleep. So take care, everybody. If you haven't checked out the interviews I've been doing, please do check them out. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to support the long-term sustainability of what I'm doing, please do consider the Patreon as well. I think that's about it. That's all the pushing I can do tonight. Take care, everyone, and I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.